Good morning. How are you today? It's a little later than normal. Let's see what time it is. The sun has just came up, more bright than normal. I'm not gonna look. I'm guessing it's 7:20. 7:45. I'm wrong. I did sleep yesterday as promised. I slept from, I write it down, 1:30 p.m. roughly to 7 p.m. roughly. And then I did work as promised. I have worked from 7 p.m. until right now, and I will continue to do so until I crash. I have all of this to do today. These are all tiny little bubbles. As you can see, I've completed 4. I made this list at 2:31 a.m. and I have been working on paintings and so many projects that I'm really excited to show you, which brings me to my next point. You know how I have separated my mental health and trauma stories, introductions to, because I really haven't gotten into it and I'm still getting used to talking on here, getting better. How I've separated them to a separate account called Unwellest. I might keep that. I like the brand. I already bought the domain name. It's nice. But I think I don't need to separate it. I feel like sharing whatever it is that I've been through, whatever it is that inspires me, that haunts me, all of me, I think is appropriate to share under my MDT artistry and in my artwork, around my artwork, and I don't think I need to separate the two. Mental health and art. I am your typical mentally ill artist. I just do it professionally and get paid for it, so just figured that part out. Does not make it easier, it actually makes it a lot more difficult. But my point is that I'm just gonna be trying to share a lot more of these things all across my platforms. So with my artwork and separately on a mental health platform where I can incorporate my psychology and behavioral neuroscience background, just helping people and really just being a human and telling our stories and connecting. That is how we grow and how we heal. Social support, positive social support, and education. But I also will be sharing a lot of my truth and stories and memories, wants and needs and dreams with you alongside of my artwork. So I don't talk a lot about what inspires me because it's really hard to talk about, but I'm gonna start once I start talking about my paintings to you. Just for instance, last night I spent all night. I actually broke open my very first psychology textbook because I have an understanding that most people that haven't been trained scholastically or professionally, just lay people who don't have specific psychological mental health education or experience, either professionally or firsthand, right? It's hard to understand it. It really is. It's an abstract concept. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of stigma and judgment, which makes a lot of people refrain from coming forward and sharing, and isolates a lot of people and makes people feel alone and weird, and we're just not here for that. We are going to be vulnerable. That's just what we're here for. I have just been really inspired by all the pain that I've gone through this year, and or my life, I guess, but I really don't want other people to suffer the way that I have. And if I can make anyone feel a little bit better, I just love you and I want to. So here is one of 3, right, of a purple series. It is for suicide awareness, and it says, "You are enough." But one way that I used to genuinely help myself with the loss of people I loved was telling myself that in physics, matter cannot be created nor destroyed, only displaced. And that is a natural law that cannot be broken. It exists, it always has existed, and probably always will. And our physical bodies are just that. They will be disposed of and recycled into new materials, but I used to tell myself that our energies and our souls would be transformed into something beautiful, and that's what these butterflies represent. And then on top of that, if you purchase one of these, I provide in each one more information about each set. So one set is, I'll talk more about it later, but one set is about recovering in addiction and alcoholism, alcohol use disorder on the backs of them, and then in the package I will send with it more information, sources for help, either online or locally. I am always here to answer questions and try and help where and when I can. I'll be honest, I have such intense symptoms sometimes that the anticipation of answering a conversation, it takes me a couple of days, just sometimes. My birds, Pickle and Mike, just arrived. I don't remember what I was saying. I think it is late enough. It's almost 8 o'clock, right? We should, oh, and I also made a really cute one. It says, oh whale, like oh well. And then a tray that says persist, and it goes with a painting that I've made. Yeah, I'm really excited to show you more later. I have a lot of my paintings out. I've just been putting, final touches on them, things I've needed to do. It's just a lot of work. I feel like I'm getting a little lost here. But anyway, okay. So, first of all, thank you for watching this far. Today, we're going to talk about self-sabotage. Not because it's something that we do intentionally. It's something that we often learn to do. If you've ever heard of self-fulfilling prophecies, that sounds more positive than it is. Typically what that is referring to is we have an idea in our mind. It could be good, but most of the time it's negative referring to this. In my experience, you may think, my partner is going to leave me. Your partner may not want to leave you, but you may believe this so much, so incredibly so, that you develop behaviors to defend or stop or fight this from happening. And honestly, sometimes the behaviors that we develop to protect us can make our fears happen. So I want to talk about sabotaging ourselves. And it's not only in the form of self-fulfilling prophecies. It is, well, why don't I just read it to you from Gemma Stone, who has created a really comprehensive, nice, I think it's a 90-minute course online, and it's free, and it's a workshop. So I'm really excited to share some of it with you. We'll just go over a little bit. I'll introduce it. I will post more on as a follow-up with pictures, and let me know what you think. Sometimes I don't know what page number 1 is. This is page number 1. If you are losing confidence in yourself and becoming disconnected from your goals and dreams because of self-sabotage, you are in the right place in this video. Overcoming self-sabotage is a free 90-minute workshop and workbook. That's it. That's what she says. Where we will unpack the two most important questions about self-sabotage. Why do we sabotage ourselves? And how do we stop sabotaging ourselves? I'm here to tell you from 20 years of experience as a psychology expert and 40 years of being a human who has also struggled, it is possible for you to make the changes that you want to make. This workshop or workbook is for you if you are experiencing at least one of these things, just one. There are changes you want to make, but part of you resists making those changes and struggles, and especially making them stick. You have damaging habits or destructive thought loops and want to break free from them. You are excited to strengthen your emotional intelligence by understanding how your brain and body are keeping you stuck. So understanding what's going on, what's the problem? It's hard to treat what you don't understand. That's another thing. I embrace diagnoses, not because you need a label. You don't even have to talk about it with anybody. But a lot of times diagnoses will help someone, especially a layperson, look up and see the categorical symptoms that they are most likely suffering if they receive that diagnosis and it's appropriate, and how to treat those symptoms, that disorder. If you don't know what's going on with you, it's really hard to treat. So, and if there's nothing going on with you, don't worry, don't be scared. The doctor will tell you nothing is wrong. You're just a little anxious. Don't be scared of the doctor. Okay. All right, number 4. You are ready to act in alignment with the person that you want to be so you can step into your potential. You notice self-sabotaging patterns of perfectionism, procrastination, self-doubt, people-pleasing, avoidance, or feeling not good enough. There are more self-sabotaging patterns, but these are the most common. You're ready to unhook from unhelpful habits, disconnect from destructive thought patterns, and take your power back so you can step into your life you love. At times, we all do things that undermine our best interests, strongest desires, and truest intentions. Even the most savvy and sophisticated people get in their own way without even realizing it. You are not alone, and self-sabotage doesn't have to be such a prominent player in your life. Overcoming self-sabotage is where you will learn how to unhook yourself from self-sabotaging behaviors so you can jumpstart lasting positive change. It's cold, I'm shutting the window. Excuse me. Getting the right support. If you're looking for more than what's offered here, you can check out Unstuck, which is her 4-week program that goes into much more depth, which also you could just read what her book is about, look up her book, go look at it in a bookstore. You can see what she covers and then look for a textbook or a book that is intended for people that want to learn, that's maybe more in depth. You don't have to just stick with this. This is just an introduction that I'm sharing with you. It's just another perspective. You don't have to take every word as biblical terminology that you must stick by. That was sarcasm. Just take it for what you will, and if there's anything valuable that you can identify with or that you think you can take away from this, please do. That's what we're doing here. All right, so this workshop will offer up tools to develop self-awareness, deepen your relationships with yourself, and information about there's a typo, I didn't just say that wrong. How to use the power of psychology to align more fully with the life you live. We all have bad days because we are human, and that's part of the gig, honey. But there's a difference between a few bad days and a few bad months. If you are regularly struggling with your mental health, please seek mental support. So in this workshop, you'll find ideas, insight, connection, practical strategies, ideas to make changes. However, this is not a substitute for actual mental or medical treatment that you may need. Do not substitute this for any type of healthcare or therapy. This is simply my journey, my experience, what I found to work and resonate with me and others, and sharing that with you, my opinion, to your ears. Okay, so let's start. Actually, no, I want to prime your mind with something, okay? So she didn't go into this, but she did allude to it. I think that, see, I want to write my own. I will someday, just wait. Okay, so she said, we all have bad days, but bad months or weeks even is typically abnormal. Now, a disorder, right? Something that sets apart normal feelings of, generalized daily, maybe minor anxiety, just a couple days of feeling down. A disorder is characterized by eventually an issue that is persisting, right? Weeks, if not months, and it creates an issue or multiple that inhibit you from fully functioning and having fulfilling work relationships, personal, interpersonal relationships, or intimate relationships, being able to follow through on tasks that you want to, like school. Really, it impedes on your ability to function as you would like to, right? And it endures. So impairing function to do daily or normal activities for an extended amount of time. And I think that is good to start with. So a disorder, you can look it up. Also, I actually printed it out and put it on one of my art pieces, so buy it if you want to know, or Google it for free. Here, I'll address whatever I want to if I feel like I need to make commentary to explain anything. Providing a little bit of context can help reduce, and I mean this in the most respectful and accurate form of the term, ignorance, lack of knowledge of mental illness, mental disorders, mental health. So I just want to do my part in trying to add little bits of fundamental parts of facts or education that might co-align with this and help you understand or create more of an understanding, concrete, okay? So, self-sabotage, oh my God, there are so many typos. Self-sabotage is the behaviors. Okay, I'm gonna fix that. Self-sabotage are the behaviors or thought patterns that hold you back and prevent you from doing what you want to do. Okay? Think about that. Think about that in your own life. Don't think too hard. I'm going to provide you with a sheet. You'll be able to write down yourself. I will provide what I do. I'm going to list it down below. I want you to be able to be vulnerable and talk to me about it too, but if you just want to process it privately first, understood. All right, types of self-sabotage. Perfectionism. Stop trying to reach being perfect. You never will. There is nothing perfect. Just be you. You are perfect, just as you are, imperfectly, and I love you. All right, giving up responsibility. Denial of self-care, burning out in the hustle culture, self-created stress, like maybe being addicted to work, or creating intensity in relationships or at work. Not really sure what that means. Holding yourself to high standards that you cannot meet, self-inflicted stress, addiction to drama, staying attached to mistakes, so not being able to accept, forgive yourself or others and move on. Ineffective processes or routines, or none at all. Lack of resourcefulness, self-criticism, self-deprecating humor or comments, focusing too much on your flaws, unhelpful rules and expectations, poor emotional management, comparison to others, ignoring problems, overindulgence, emotional repression, so being avoidant, or not addressing your emotions or repressing them, so keeping them quiet, putting in the back of your mind, not addressing. They'll still be there. I'm ready to play whenever you're ready. Okay. Refusing to try, always choosing comfort, hoping for a change without taking action, approval seeking, poor time management, procrastination, cynicism, lack of self-control, denying help, lying to yourself, willful ignorance over responsibility, loose boundaries, overachievement, isolation, underfunctioning or overfunctioning. I think they should have added a couple of things, like when it comes to codependency and relationships. Okay, why do we self-sabotage? Patterns learned in childhood, limiting beliefs, fear, failure of success, intimacy, rejection of those things or loss of those things, even a fear to get close to people, to let down your walls and be vulnerable. I see and have experienced a lot of that. Coping mechanisms of protection, having triggers that make you battle yourself, maybe in forms of eating disorders, body dysmorphia, really viewing yourself incredibly negatively and punishing yourself. Low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and what I would add is low self-efficacy, belief in that you can and will do things that you want to do. You can and will overcome challenges. You can and you will. Imposter syndrome, believing you didn't earn this, you don't fit here. You did. You do. Unless you didn't. Then you should tell the truth. Dopamine rushes, so, adrenaline rushes, seeking thrills. That can be in forms of short-term relationships, that could be with criminal acts, or even acts that are potentially self-harming, impulsive as well. And then also neurobiological impulses. So that would be something that you can't really think about, but you may, or I mean, it's not a choice, right? Neurobiological, so brain biology, it's what's going on in your brain that may be influencing your choices. That could be not only genetic, but conditioned from previous experience in life, long-term experiences in childhood, whether they are good or traumatic, right? And other things too. When I think, so this is the activity for this one, when I think about all the different causes of self-sabotage, the ones that resonate most with me are, let's see, let me go through one by one and see what I get. Patterns learned in childhood, limiting beliefs. Patterns learned in childhood, yes. Limiting beliefs, not so much, but sometimes, right? Like, I know that if I sit in those beliefs, I will go nowhere. And that's not an option for me. So we just can't do that. We have to push past and just have faith in yourself. Patterns learned in childhood, yes, there are things that, there's a reason that I speak English and I don't speak Swedish, and I do not have a Southern accent, and I have the culture that I have, and things are normal to me the way that they are. That's because I was conditioned that way. I just started learning before I could even talk appropriately, right? And the things that I saw as a child and learned before I could even understand what was going on really, obviously impair me today, but did not contribute to a positive sense of self. I watched people self-sabotage that were taking care of me my entire childhood, and I'm sure, absolutely sure, that I picked up those behaviors as well. If not all of them, but some, and in my own way, right? But I've been going to therapy for over 10 years, and I go every week, and then I go to med management once or twice a month. If things are going well, once every 3 months. So I have really done my due diligence in trying to work and manage these things, and it's a process. Still doing that. Coping mechanisms, it took me years to get those. That's why we have this folder. Yes, I do have a fear of failing and being judged, but once again, people who matter don't mind, and people who mind don't matter. The only people that come to my mind are my high school bullies, because they still watch my stuff, and okay, I'm sure that it's just something for them to make fun of, and that's fine, but there's always a fear, right, that you're just going to be a spectacle in a negative way. But once again, you have to have courage, and failures are opportunities to grow and learn. Perspective, okay, changers for the positive. Low self-worth and self-esteem and self-confidence, yes. I have had a lot of abusive relationships. I have a ton of social anxiety now. I often think that things that will happen to me are my fault. I say a lot of bad things to myself. I don't expect people to like or remember me. I just say the things to myself that a lot of people have, and that's okay, because I often try to recognize when I'm doing that and remember why I'm doing it, where it came from, counter it with a positive, and love myself. Forgive myself for feeling that way, understand why I do, and I'm only human, and all we can do is try to do better tomorrow, improve just a little bit. How do we stop self-sabotage? First, we have to be in the right place. We have to be in the right place to make the decision to make a change. Nobody can do it for you. This needs to be an intrinsic choice, something that comes from within you, not an external motivator, right? This can't be a girlfriend that's giving you an ultimatum to change your behaviors, or a mom that's saying, I'm cutting off your car insurance and taking it away if you don't fix your behaviors. No, this has to come from inside of you, from a point of understanding that what is going on is not working. It's not getting you what you want out of life. It's causing more pain than adding value to your life like you deserve. And you personally have to identify and commit and seek ways to change that. It is nobody else's journey but yours. And me here doing this, you wouldn't be listening 27 minutes into this unless I edit it down. You wouldn't be listening this long if you didn't want to stick around and make a change, unless you're my high school bully and you're just making fun of me. In that case, that's not very nice, and I think that you should probably keep listening. You might learn something. Not today, tomorrow. So, this needs to come from within you when you're ready. Nobody else is making you do this. You identify that something is wrong, and you're ready and willing to make change, seek education, seek support, seek the appropriate source, right, to get change. Stages of change. Number 1, pre-contemplation. No intention of changing behavior. No, not me. Could never be me. We don't. No. Stop. Contemplation. Aware a problem exists, but with no commitment to action. Maybe. Preparation. That's number 3. Intending to take action to address the problem. Yes, me. What do I do now? Number 4, action. Actively making changes. Let's do this. I'm ready. Seeking people to help guide you, right? It's not always easy. If you're like me, I do not have positive, appropriate adult relationships and guidance and love. I typically have to make those relationships with people that come along in my life that I can find and foster those with and learn from them, or seek them out through authors and people that inspire me online and studying them. So if you can't find positive support in your life, in your immediate relationships, friends, or household, family, continue looking elsewhere, right? Maybe places that are trained to do specifically this, places that you trust and align with your values. If one doesn't work, do not lose hope. Keep trying. Okay, number 5 is maintenance. Making sustainable changes. where new behaviors are replacing old behaviors. I'm doing it, right? Be consistent, forgive yourself if you make a mistake. I believe that they have 90-day programs because that is how long typically it takes to create new neural pathways, or just to create new patterns, right? New automatic processes, and get rid of old, or be able to kind of minimize those. All right, number 6, this is important. Relapse. You fall back into old patterns of behavior. Ugh, I got off track. Yes, relapse is part of the process, but it's good news. Each time that we relapse, we have the potential to learn something new that can strengthen the way that we find success again. It's called the upward spiral. Fine, I like to think of it as an upward trend of stocks, right? Like, you would want to invest in me because although there may be a daily or weekly dip or a peak, right? A little bit of volatility overall, if you go back 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, my trend is nothing but improvement, baby. So you can't always focus on the daily or the weekly volatility and ups and downs, because that's just part of the process, baby. You just gotta commit to trying and consistently trying. As long as we stay conscious, we can continue to make progress as we spiral up and out of the places that we are stuck. A spiral seems like a lot of steps. Maybe that's the point. What stage are you stuck in right now? Have you relapsed before? If yes, what did you learn? I relapse all the time. I have to go to therapy, crying, in tears, panic attacks. When my housing situation feels unstable, I work very hard to be independent and to make it stable. But when external factors and people, no matter how hard I try, can make it unstable, I immediately revert back to childhood and feeling so helpless and scared. Everything is going to fall out from beneath me. I can't focus on anything else. It is so extreme, so intense. I'm not sure if that's a trigger, and I wouldn't always call it a relapse, but it is in a way, because I'm going back to thinking the same ways that I once did, instead of trying to counter those thoughts with more valuable or helpful thoughts that I have learned today, right? That are more true and reassuring. So I still have to remind myself of this all the time. I read these often. There's a reason that they are laminated. There's a reason I have folders. There's a reason I've been doing this for over 10 years and why I've studied it, because I need it. I love it, actually, and I love teaching it. So I actually think that we need to start learning this much younger. And similarly to teaching art, I want to teach these things to children. I love working with children. And I think it would be wonderful if I get the opportunity to write and break down some of the major topics of mental health difficulties and struggles, sociological struggles when it comes to families, households, understanding difficulties that you may experience in childhood, but explaining it at a basic level that a child can understand, that isn't too complicated or too adult, right? But does prime them for a bit of reality and skills, right? Because more likely than not, they will encounter difficulty. If you have seen the statistics for SE blank 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 blank, Um, Abuse with both men and women, it is what, 1 in 3 and 1 in 5. So I don't care if a child is self-reporting. Typically they do not. It's still important to get education to them in a way that they can understand, that weaponizes them positively and helps prepare them for very real things that I didn't start learning until I could go get real help from someone. Some kids do not have safe homes. They do not learn those things at home. Okay? They have libraries and teachers and people who care. And that's where they get that information. This is where you're going to kind of just look into your life and see where is self-sabotage, kind of like I mentioned earlier. How is it affecting you? Creating awareness and alignment is what this is called. How and where is self-sabotage showing up in your life? I have a major fear. I'm just going to be totally transparent with you. I have a major fear that I am going to end up in the same type of situation that I was raised in. It makes me want to cry thinking about it, because I work so hard not to. But oftentimes I think that my personality, while I can be intensely assertive, not aggressive, assertive, and advocate for what is right and want justice, and I can stand up when I need to, but a lot of the times I want to care for people. I do not want them to hurt the way that I have. And at times I wonder if that will cause me to put myself in situations that may recreate difficulty for me, when all I want is just a happy family, a safe, peaceful home, and just access to resources for us and them. So that is one of my fears of self-sabotage. And see, a lot of times it just makes you vulnerable. It's hard to talk about, but just do it. We're all human. It affects every single one of us. Whether you're pretty or ugly or rich or poor, or you're a lawyer or a janitor or anything in between, humans are humans. Doesn't matter what color, what language, where, what part of the globe you originated in. It really doesn't. So just be vulnerable. Share yourself. I promise you it'll help not only you heal, but somebody else. And hopefully it'll bring you interconnection. I know it's given me some forms of that. Just in the form of online support. It's been really nice. I don't get a lot of it, it's just a little, but still, like when you don't leave your house often and don't talk to people on the phone, it gets lonely, so you appreciate those things. Sorry about that. What is self-sabotage stopping you from doing? I think that I would have taken bigger risks if I didn't have so much fear, but I also am trying to be practical and tell myself that fast is slow, to build a strong foundation of education and reputation and relationships. I'll post the rest of the questions here because I have answered and taken enough of your time, and I'm sorry about that. See yourself free to set yourself free. Imagine what's possible for you when you get unstuck from your self-sabotage. Close your eyes and place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Breathe into your belly. Fill your belly like a bowl full of jelly. Okay. Take a moment to see yourself free and set yourself free. Visualize the area of your life that is most affected by self-sabotage. Now imagine that's the area of your life where you're taking self-supporting actions instead of self-sabotaging actions. What are you doing? How are you doing it? How do you feel now versus before? Who are you becoming? What do you want to become, I should say? What values are you wanting to live by? This says, are you living by? But I think that when we're in a transformative stage, I think that we should still focus on what we want to, because having those expectations of what are you being, what are you living by, is kind of giving the feeling that you need to be living by them daily. And I think that it's a journey to figure out what those values are for you, who you want to be, what you want your future to look like, and give yourself that time, okay? When you feel ready, open your eyes. And take the feeling of your freedom with you into your day. I'm sure that you have heard, if you watch sports, study psychology, or maybe just in another class, or are maybe an athlete yourself, or maybe they've taught you this in another area of academia, and I don't know, but visualizing something is just as important as physically practicing something. Your brain does not know the difference between things like dreaming and hallucinations and reality. Now, I think that it probably knows the difference between hyper-focused intentional imagination. That's probably a little difficult, but right, think about this. So I believe that the study was conducted on basketball players and golfers, and I know that Kobe and Tiger Woods both do this, as well as many other professionals, and I'm so sorry, rest in peace, Kobe did this. But they visualize often the form, the way they feel, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like when they shoot the ball or take the swing. They focus on the feeling of being proud of achieving their outcome. They focus on hitting or shooting the ball with the proper form or at the proper contact point so that they get the right trajectory. And the mental process of going over something, visualizing yourself in the future, I mean, you can call it manifestation, you can journal it, right? I do often. It creates the ability for your brain to not only start wanting and seeing that future to be more possible, but it also starts priming your brain to see more patterns that align with what you're visualizing, and you'll notice them more and hopefully be able to adopt them more. But take the time, truly trust the visualization process, the process of seeing and feeling and thinking about what you want to become what values you want to live by, what lifestyle you'd like to have, what partner you would like to be, and what partnership you would like to have, and so on and so forth. What did you say that set yourself free? Don't lie to me. Coping mechanisms of protection. Self-sabotage is the result of becoming blended by two parts with the opposite behaviors and the same goal: safety. Firefighters. The parts that seek to stamp out unpleasant conflict through self-sabotaging behavior. Example: drink to deal with a breakup. Go shopping to deal with stress at work. Tucker's snoring. Binge eat to distract ourselves from unpleasant memories. The firefighter's intention is to solve a problem, to put out a fire, but they end up causing harm and creating more problems. Why? They develop strategies to deal with the situations that threatened your psyche. Get to know your firefighters. What do they look like? What does it feel like? And where in your body is it? What purpose is self-sabotage serving, and how is it trying to help you? So how I would have explained this, and how I want to explain this, is these self-defeating or self-sabotaging behaviors are ones that we learned at some point along our previous lives, not a past life like we're a cat, our earlier lives in this lifetime that I know of, that once benefited us, right? Like someone who is in modern day emotionally avoidant or highly reactive, probably when they were younger, developing those characteristics protected them in some major way. Becoming avoidant in a household that was so stressful, didn't focus on your ability to function, didn't care about your well-being, made you, the middle of everything. I'm sure that learning to detach and become distant is a way of protecting yourself from all of that pain, internalizing it, and creating a barrier for safety. However, when we grow into adulthood, the goal is to have interpersonal relationships where we can effectively and interdependently rely on each other and work together as a team. That encompasses anything that a good team needs, right? If you play sports, think of basketball, think of a football team, think of a softball team, volleyball, or anything else that really takes good communication. Even working at a restaurant, having a team, at a corporate setting, in a salon setting, right? Just anywhere. In relationships, especially in our intimate relationships, you have to be able to be vulnerable. It's not fulfilling for you or your partner to never be able to access what you're feeling, not share that, not understand that, not discuss it, not explore it, not truly feel it. It's not healthy. And the same can go for other behaviors that we may have developed earlier on in our younger lives that we maintain today. Like, for instance, maybe me. I believe that I can become very assertive very quickly because I've had to protect myself and my sisters, stand up for myself. I've been put in a lot of violent situations And then eventually just had to take on a lot of very adult roles when I was younger. So I very quickly stepped into that role. And I noticed that at times, while disagreeable people, I realize, get things done that agreeable people just sometimes don't, and I'm willing to do that. Especially if I'm understanding the boundaries of being assertive, not aggressive, never, verbally harassing or emotionally abusing someone. You have to know the boundaries. But speaking, when I say assertive, I mean speaking directly, speaking with conviction, telling them exactly what you want, what you need to happen, what you're thinking, right? And what you need from that person, or what you want to know, or what's not working, or what you think would work better. So I think I can step into that role really quickly, and it does make other people at times feel defensive, or maybe it's off-putting. At the same time, it still does serve me sometimes today. People often try to walk all over me, because I am very kind and loving, but everything comes to an end. This is not an unlimited resource, and eventually you do have to stick up for yourself. Now, maybe I can learn how to do it in a way that doesn't create such distance from me and whoever I'm speaking with, because I've learned that adding intensity or adding more conflict to any situation, just like raising emotion to an already baseline conflict, even minor type of situation or misunderstanding, is only going to make it more difficult to mutually understand each other, and effectively work together to come to a compromise or conclusion, in a friendly manner, right? So if it's professional, I usually don't have an issue with that at all. I can always stay in my lane, and I can also respect the rights of others when I'm not at work or not in a professional setting. It's just different, right? What was I just saying? Yes, okay. If I was able to, or this is something I want to work on, okay? Taking things a little bit slower and trying to react with more patience, and try and understand why I'm not agreeing or misunderstanding, why they think that may be appropriate, and then finding a way to communicate that doesn't create defensiveness from either person, and actually creates comfortability, and maybe even fosters openness and maybe even friendliness, right? To have better resolution and maintain relationships rather than burn them. Thank you for joining us today for this free workshop. It's been 55 minutes. Is that how long it said it would be? I mean, I skipped through a little bit, and I explained things differently than she did, because just sometimes, not all the time, no offense, Gemma, because I just felt it was necessary. All right, want more? She's got you covered. If this free workshop and playbook rocked your magnetic magnificent world, then there's plenty more where that came from. 3 things that you can do next. Hop over to her website and explore all of her musings and life lessons on choosing love over fear, mastering your mindset, managing your mental health, and more. Here's her dream for you: the freedom to do the things you want to do, follow through on what matters most, keep your promises to yourself, and feel damn proud that you are creating the life that you love every day. No one on earth can do what you do in precisely the way that you do it. You are precious, and our world needs your special brand of magic. Thank you for being in our orbit. All right, I will be posting the follow-up homework online. I do look forward to seeing some comments, I hope, just sharing about any insights, any responses. Maybe we can learn and grow from each other in the comments. If not, if you're shy, maybe just think about it on your own. It's okay. We'll talk to you later. I do have a lot of work to do today. This took a little longer than normal, but I had fun. Tell me what you think about the longer video, okay? All right, you have a good day. Be kind to everybody. Know your rights, right? Feed your body well, because mental health connected to gut health, connected to lots of things. And if you can, step outside, get a little bit of sunlight and positive social support today. Goodbye.